Hi, welcome to This Week in Ames. I'm Susan Guiazda. On today's show, we check in with Ames Electric Services. My guest today is Donald Kom, Director of Ames Electric Services. Don, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's been a while since we've had you on the show, and it's been a good year for Ames Electric Services, particularly for the demand-side management program. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, demand-side management was a program that City Council initiated back in 2007. And really the goal of our demand-side management program is to hold down our peak. And you have to say to yourself, well, why do you want to prevent people from using electricity? And in our particular case, when we start peaking, we have to, and we continue to grow, we have to start looking at the future needs of electric generation. And if we can hold that peak demand down, we then can avoid the next generator. And so it's very important for us to do that.
And for most utilities, staying steady is easier to generate power, water, whatever, than these constant peaks and flows. You want to keep your draw at the same level.
Correct. What we have to do is we have to build to meet our peak demand. So if we can chop off that peak, if we can hold that peak down, then our existing resources can be better utilized.
So we call it demand-side management, which is kind of a fancy term, but for most of our customers, it means education and rebates.
Correct. Just in letting our customers, both businesses and homeowners, know how to use the electricity, or when it's critical for us not to use the electricity is extremely important.
So we just got through the holidays. I think there were probably some people who got some fancy new appliances, maybe some new light fixtures, some new light bulbs, and even maybe some of those fancy new thermostats. What do you want to say to those people?
Well, let's talk about each of them in turn. You talked about appliances first, and we're hoping that when you're out shopping for appliances, you look for what we call the Energy Star rating. Energy Star rated appliances are those that use energy more efficiently. The good news with that Energy Star is we offer rebates. So things that we rebate in terms of appliances are refrigerators, washers, dryers. We look at dehumidifiers and things like that. So if they have the Energy Star rating, we will offer you or give you a rebate. All you need to do is fill out the form, add in your specific information, a copy of the receipt so that we know it's Energy Star, and we'll send you a check for between $50 and $100 rebate.
So not only do you use less electricity, you get an incentive to purchase a more energy efficient appliance.
Absolutely. So that's what we do on appliances. The second thing that you mentioned, I believe, was the lights. One of the things to consider with lights is before, incandescents were what everybody had, and they moved to compact fluorescents, the little curly Q
So
ones.
is it true incandescents are going to be phased out?
Pretty much you can't find incandescents anymore. They're very hard to come by, quite inefficient.
They get very hot.
And they get very warm, very hot. And then they move from incandescents to compact fluorescents, or CFLs, and they're kind of the curly Q ones. Well, in recent years, greater breakthroughs have happened, and they've now come out with what's called LED, or light emitting diode. I have a couple of samples here. You can't really see the light bulb, but it's basically a little diode inside. These are both happen to be glass, and then it's the glass. It's a very bright white light. Then it's diffused by these coverings on these
So those
lights.
would go into just regular sockets where your incandescent would go.
Yep, they have the same type of screw-in base that all light bulbs have had.
They're heavier than regular light bulbs.
They are heavier. With LEDs, there is amount of heat that comes with it, and in this particular one, this allows the heat to dissipate off of the light. So it's basically...
Those are like vents?
I wouldn't call it a vent, but it's like a piece of metal that allows it to cool. It's, I don't even call it a radiator, but it's the ability then to dissipate the heat that's coming off of the light. This one doesn't have the same requirements, and this is a second generation made by the same company. But we offer rebates on LEDs too, so that's a second area.
And we no longer do the CFL rebates.
That is correct. There's some special situations if you're going From older tubes to the more modern tubes, we will offer some rebate just to encourage, and it's typically in businesses where you find those. We will encourage even change outs to the more modern, the more energy efficient fluorescent tubes. But for residential applications, we now just rebate the LEDs, and that rebate is 30% of the cost of the light bulb itself. So there are some applications where you can get real fancy, and it includes both the light bulb and then the base itself. We just rebate the material, not any kind of labor or anything like that to install them.
So what's amazing to me is how much the price is coming down on those light bulbs. They used to be quite pricey. It wouldn't be anything unusual to spend $10 or $20 on one of those bulbs, and now they're really quite reasonable.
They're quite reasonable. The other real good aspect of LED lights is they last a long time compared to compact fluorescents or even incandescents. These are supposed to last 10 to 20 years. So you want to put them in a locations where you don't typically want to get into. These would be the things that you would really want a good application for those specifically.
They're such a great substitute. The CFLs, I had them in cans, recessed cans, didn't do so well. I had them on dimmers, didn't do so well. How did the LEDs do?
LEDs, they do good in cans. As you can see with this one, if you put this into a can, the majority of the light then would be reflecting out of that can, so you can use it. With this, this is more of a, let's say a lamp would be a very good use for this style and type of that. In terms of in the cans themselves, they do get a little bit warm, but they will function very, very well.
And those are dimmable?
There are certain varieties of LEDs that are dimmable and certain that aren't, and some that are not. So you really want to look at the package and see what that particular one will do for you.
And they're very bright. I mean, they give you a nice amount of light.
Absolutely. And interestingly enough, we are one of the things that we're looking at from Electric Services is we're looking at a 5-year plan where we're going to start changing out street lights. Now, not the signal lights, but the street lights themselves, where we're going to move from what we call high pressure sodium to LED lights for our streets. And that offers us a lot of advantages. It's a brighter light. The high pressure sodiums come out more of a yellow look, and the brighter, whiter light is good for traffic. It's good for seeing pedestrians, and easier to maintain. We're not up there physically working on the lights as often. And it's a cost savings because it uses much less energy than even the high pressure sodiums.
So one of the other things we talked about is some people may have gotten a new thermostat, which sounds like kind of an unusual gift, but I do know certain people did get one this year for Christmas. Yes. They control it with their phone. It's pretty fancy.
Yeah, we were just looking at that, I think, before we started filming today. But there are different varieties, different brands out there. I know Honeywell offers them. I think there's something called the Nest. And other manufacturers like that. Historically, we've rebated any kind of smart, what I'll call a smart thermostat. The smart thermostats of 5 years ago are not as smart as the smart thermostats of today. So even if you put in a thermostat that can be programmed, so in other words, it'll maybe lower the temperature or lower your heating temperature during the day when you're at work, and then it'll bring it up before you come home. We offer rebates on those. I believe it's at $25. If you wish to go the fancier ones where you can control things from your iPhone, let's say, or from any kind of smartphone, those I believe we are rebating right now at $50. And I would encourage anybody that is tech savvy. They're very easy to install, but then you can get on your iPhone at any time and see if your air conditioner is running, if your heater is running, what the temperature in the house is there. They're pretty fancy. Well,
those are great. And we have all that information on the rebates on our website, cityofames.org/smartenergy. You can find everything. Mm-hmm. So just before we finish up, I understand you have a speaker coming to Ames fairly soon. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. One of the things that our URAB, and URAB is the board that basically advises the electric department. They're appointed by the mayor. They have reached out to the community to hear more about renewables and things that the community wants us to be looking at. And one of the things that really garnered a lot of attention was some type of a community solar project. So what we've set up on March 2nd at 12:30 in council chambers, we're going to have a speaker come in, and The city of Cedar Falls has gone through this process, and they've set up a community solar program, and we've asked Cedar Falls to come over, talk to URAB, talk to staff, and the public is invited to listen in too about how their program went from beginning to end, what went well, what didn't go well. And we're going to strongly consider and model something like that for Ames to see how that will be.
Well, and if you can't make it to that luncheon, you certainly can watch it on Channel 12.
I'm sure that we're going to record it and have it available for anybody that would like to listen in.
Excellent. So if you're interested in that solar community experience from Cedar Falls, again, that's 12:30 on March
2nd.
March 2nd in the City Council Chambers, 515 Clark Avenue.
Yep.
Well, Don, that was great information. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'll be available anytime you need me.
Again, if you want more information about smart energy rebates or speakers that are coming to town, you want to check our website at cityofames.org. Also, as we get in through the month, remember we're in the middle of budget. Our CIP, or Capital Improvements Project budget presentation, will be held at 5:15 on Tuesday, January 19th. That's followed up by budget presentations beginning at 5:15 on Tuesday, February 2nd, February 3rd, and February 4th. Well, that's our show for today. Thanks for watching, and tune in next week for This Week in Ames.